Welcome back. My name is Bethany, and I am starting this new series here on my channel. It's already something I've started before and been working on for a few months now. I started it back in June of this year, and basically what it is it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a monthly mixtape that I've been making and curating over each month, and then at the end of the month, I send this playlist out to really anybody. The idea behind it was that I suck at small talk. And I realized that, and especially over text, I'm just the worst. And I really wanted to find a way to, I guess, communicate with my loved ones without much going on. You know, sometimes life is just nothing big is happening, nothing you really want to talk about in particular, but you still want to keep in touch and know this person or have them know you. And music is a cool way to do that. So I've already been in a habit of, with a few people in my life, just sharing music back and forth a little bit, and that's always brought me a lot of joy and is exactly what I'm talking about. It brings us together for just like a minute, you know, just a back and forth, and there's no commitment to a conversation. It's quite a lovely thing to share between people, and it's not stressful, you know, and you're not like hung up over that last text they sent and or anything like that. It's really cool. Just been sending out this playlist every month, and it's different, of course, every month. It's curated as I go through the month, and then towards the last week or so, I'll be kind of, well, usually as I go along, kind of doing this, but definitely by the end of the month, I'll be actually making sure that the playlist plays the right way. I just mean, when you play through this playlist, this mixtape, it feels right. It sounds right. They're in the right order, in my opinion, and in how I listen to it. And maybe it tells some sort of story. Maybe it is just what sounds right, like I said. You know, it just kind of falls in that place in order on the list, and just sounds really dope. We're in the middle of September, so I will be releasing another one in another less than 2 weeks now, and I'll go through this all again with that September playlist. But I thought just to kind of put it out there so that there's an example, and I really loved the ones I did in the past, which you can also check out, and I'll link below, and I primarily use Spotify. If you don't have Spotify, hopefully I can find a way to navigate around that, but that's my main listening platform that I subscribe to. So these are all going to be linked, and the playlist itself will be also linked so that you can literally just go and listen to this as I do, or honestly, I would probably recommend listening to the playlist first if that's possible, and you can pause this and come back to it. But this is a great kind of companion video to that playlist. Honestly, I really appreciate listening to music and, you know, processing it and reflecting on it in your own lens. And so don't think that any of this, I guess, explanation I have for each song or order of songs or anything like that will, you know, hopefully it won't affect your listening experience. Hopefully it won't affect what you think of each song if you've never heard it. And you can just kind of let it be what it is for you before you hear my decision-making process. I've rambled for a minute now, so I'm just going to kind of just dive right in to this playlist I have for August. And this was a really interesting month for me. August was a month of kind of good things ending, closing some doors and opening new ones, and kind of wrapping things up. I quit my job, and that was my last month there, and it was quite the ride, not to be cliche, but it was I'd worked there for a long time, and it was the first time I was doing something totally new in my work. What I get paid to do is going to be different from now on, and that's a really big deal. That's not a small thing, and that's fine for me to say, you know. So if you're going through some sort of transition in life, whether it be with people, whether it be with a job or a hobby, something that you can confidently say, I'm going to be in control and change something, that's kind of what I kept in mind for this month. Let's just get started. Okay, so I'm just going to be, I have it pulled up on the side here, and I can also I wanted to be like listening to everything as we go, just so I can kind of remember correctly and in real time. So feel free to do the same, but you know, I'm going to splice it together, so it's totally up to you. So first we're going to start with Before Paris, and this is by Tom Misch from his album Geography, one of my favorite albums of all time, which I actually have planned for a future series about albums. Which are not dead. I respect the single, and the EP and all of that, but I do have a special place in my soul for the album, for an intentional album, which Geography is, so keep an eye out for that. Before Paris is a great, great song, and it's the intro to that album. So I really felt, listening to it, it was the appropriate intro to my mixtape here. And it starts off with like kind of this great little speech. I'm not sure where that soundbite is from. It's so good. And it's just really makes me think every time I hear it about committing to yourself, committing to your work, committing to what you put out in the world, and knowing it's going to be hard, you know, and doing the thing that makes you might not be easy, and that's cool, but the people that stick to that, you know, stick to their guns are, you know, hopefully successful. So that's really what that song meant for me, and really kind of set the tone for, I think, the whole playlist. It was definitely something that kind of sparked that month for me. Right around that first few days of August, I definitely was listening to this whole album. Kind of had a craving for it, and I think it was for this reason. It's for that intro. And then right after that, we get this great, at the end of Before Paris is a great little like fade out kind of segue guitar lick, and it kind of just segues into I Have Used Me by Bill Withers. And that's one of my, again, like reoccurring songs, comes up on a lot of my playlists. I'm a playlist person, if you can't already tell. And I just kind of throw things into lists, just randomly sometimes, as soon as I like something, a mood, whatever. And this song has come up a lot. Use Me has been on a lot of, I used to dance when I was in college. So this came up a lot of those like kind of funk, old school, some hip hop in there. In terms of like kind of like that era, like a lot of those sound bites and stuff were kind of what I became inspired by. What were the like original songs that were getting put into these hip hop songs? Use Me is a great song. Got a great kind of like funk to it with this awesome like drum beat he's got, and then just a great God, I don't know if you have this when you listen to certain songs, but sometimes there's a moment in a song and it's just like, oof, I don't know, it's hard to explain. But when you listen to this song, you can know my moment for this song is on that first hand clap. And if you know this song, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like halfway through the song, so you gotta give the whole thing a listen. Now, I thought that was a cool, like kind of funky, almost like, it has this kind of sassy tone to it. I'm not a technical music person, so I don't even know like what key this is in. Okay, but it has this really cool vibe of like sass, a little bit of like stank on it, and I just love that it's so funky coming out of the Before Paris funk that one has too. Yeah, sorry, I'm just listening to it. It's so good. After that, I specifically looked for this song. It's called Your Dog by Soccer Mommy. This song was a song that I've heard come up a lot in my indie playlists and my radios and stuff I've listened to. I love Japanese Breakfast, and this artist has come up a lot on those related playlists and stuff. So I really liked this song. For some reason, it just kind of sticks in my head, and I just always remember the melody and the chorus, and it has a great like bass. I guess that's a bass. Maybe it's like a really low guitar sound. Something in there has just got this great and then there's like a little drum in the back, and it's just really simple. It was kind of just a nice way to segue out of like this kind of funky bit in the beginning here. The song also, just like Use Me, has a great, just like the next song, they kind of have these melancholic, kind of somber undertones in the sound. And I think that was something not that I was just sad all the time in August, but you know, it's the end of an era and it feels kind of sad, and it feels kind of like a mixture of emotions when you go through this process. So I wanted to start off the playlist with that. Okay, yeah, so we got Please, Please, Please Let Me Get What I Want by the Smiths. You might know this song. It's very popular and has been popularized, but I love the Smiths. Like anybody else, I probably discovered them just like you, through like other media and movies and pop culture and stuff, and soundtracks, and which is kind of crazy, but you know, there it is. But I really liked this song, and I really wanted to put something kind of indie and acoustic. And I remembered the Smiths, went back and kind of went through their songs that I really love. And this is a great short, it's like less than 2 minutes. Great little like, just kind of rips your heart out. I think a thing that I was looking for maybe subconsciously was songs that tell stories and songs that drive you forward a little bit and kind of make you reflect and make you realize something, or like say something that you would say, you know. Then next I have Interlude, Moving On by Paramore from their self-titled album, one of my favorite albums as well. And I've been thinking about doing this concept for a little while, and this felt right to apply here, which is to take the 3 interludes from that album and use them as interludes in a playlist. And so I wanted to insert all 3 of those appropriately into mine, and I feel like I did a pretty good job integrating them, because they're not rock songs, you know, they're acoustic. They are just a voice and just one other instrument, maybe like a little kick drum type of thing too, but super simple. And it kind of was a nice break, I think, from the other stuff, you know, like just like kind of that's what interlude is, you know, kind of take a pause, something simple, just easy to listen to. Okay, so the next song is All Apologies by Nirvana, and this is from their MTV Unplugged in New York. Super, super famous performance. Iconic, I guess, in that kind of genre. Kind of got on a Nirvana kick, and I listened to the whole concert just kind of around this time again. This kind of stuck out to me as like this awesome opportunity to throw in an artist that I think we all have a little bit of a different perception of. I fucking love Nirvana, but I didn't listen to them growing up. I always loved a little bit more intense rock kind of genres, but for some reason Nirvana was never my gig until recently, and so I went through all their stuff, and I really enjoyed a lot of the songs from this set. So All Apologies kind of felt right. It was kind of the nice mix of like, of course it's all acoustic, upbeat, a little bit more up-tempo, but not intense. It wasn't like gonna melt your face off. It just felt right. That's all I can say about that. This song has an outro, which was really interesting because this is a happy accident. This song has this great outro where he's just, you know, Kurt Cobain is chatting on the mic about like guitar and stuff like that. But he starts the next song, and I'm sure if you've seen anybody play live, you see a guitarist just kind of play the intro to the next song, just kind of like try it out, just make sure everything's in tune, whatever. Kind of noodle around. And he does this, and then I had my next song queued up at some point, which was Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. So that was a really cool happy accident to hear this little lick that he plays, and then the next song, Landslide, which opens with that beautiful guitar melody, and I could not believe how smooth that transition was, and it sounded almost like he was about to play this song, and it sounded like this was the same performance. Like, up next, Fleetwood Mac, you know, like he's literally playing this guitar in this song, and it was a really cool like segue into Landslide, which I would never I would never think to put All Apologies Nirvana next to Landslide Fleetwood Mac, but there it is. We are not so different, I guess. So Landslide, I love having Fleetwood Mac on these playlists, man. They have so much variety, so much like heart in their music, and Landslide has always been one of those songs that just like kind of tugs at your heartstrings and makes you think, and the lyrics are beautiful, simple and sophisticated and true, honest music. And Landslide kind of felt like the perfect thing to put right in the smack in the middle of this list here. Right after that, we're gonna stay on kind of like a classic rock kick, which is cool. I have Stairway to Heaven, Led Zeppelin, right after that. And I just really felt like I wanted to put something a little bit more high energy. I don't know, just something a little bit more than we just got a lot of acoustic now and a couple tunes, a few minutes now on this playlist. And it's just like, okay, how do we kind of segue out of that? Because we got into it. We got into it by going into that interlude, using the Smiths a little bit, from indie, from Bill Withers to Tom Misch. So we made it. But how do we get back out of that? And how do we kind of like stay in it still without departing from this mood? So I went with Stairway to Heaven, and this I think was a great choice. Sorry about that. I ran out of memory on my camera, so here we go again. And I wanted to, oh God, I love Stairway to Heaven, dude. Such a good song, man. Like, it's such a classic, and kind of cliche to say, like, that's one of my favorite rock songs of all time, but, like, there's a reason a lot of people say that. It's so good. 8 minutes. Doesn't feel like it, though. Most accessible 8-minute songs, I think, is out there. For those who do not or are not familiar with the like listening to longer form songs and jams and stuff, I grew up on like jam bands, so and classic rock. I think this is a really cool piece to kind of put in the middle of everything. Like I said, to get from Landslide to something else, or get to that from that acoustic, you know, melancholic kind of thing to something else, something a little bit more positive, maybe more upbeat. And I think my whole thing with this choice was that it kind of has that segue built into it, and I think that is very cool, and I wanted to like really make the most of that. So we have that, you know, acoustic solo right at the beginning, just kind of like Landslide, you know. It's a great transition out of it, and then we go into this like heavier rock. It's not even heavy, but more rock and roll. Still like 5+ minutes in, we don't even get there. You still settle into kind of the groove and the chillness of the first, you know, 2/3 of the song. And then right around like 6.5 minutes is that like, kind of like Use Me. It's just one of those moments where it's just like, oof, that's the song. Vocals come in, and it's like right, I think after that guitar solo, I know there's a million guitar solos, but like the main one, I think it's 6 minutes, 6:40. I'm just listening to it. Yeah, it's right after that drum solo. Yeah. So if you're already not familiar, wait for that moment. Just get through the first 6 minutes. I'm sure it won't be a challenge, but I don't know. Some people, honestly, some of you might be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know, who the fuck doesn't love Stairway to Heaven? Who hasn't heard it? But dude, like, that's just that genre. That's just that community, you know? Like, so many people probably could not tell you how this song went. And you might be surprised by that, and you might be one of those people. You're like, shit, like, I don't think I would be able to hum Stairway to Heaven, you know? And that's, like, fine. But same thing with any song, literally any song. It's like iconic, or that artist is like, how can you not like this thing or this song or this album? And like, lots of people don't, and lots of people don't even know what it is, never heard it, don't care. That's cool too. This is just, you know, my take or whatever on these songs, so whatever. Kind of a tangent, but there you go. Okay, so we're back after Stairway to Heaven. We have another interlude from Paramore, and it's just titled Interlude, I'm Not Angry Anymore, which is a great moment to put this interlude into this playlist. Well, these 3 interludes I also kept in the order that they appear on the album, and I felt like that was important because just those 3 back-to-back even tell a little story. Moving on, I'm Not Angry Anymore, and the last one called Holiday, which is also in this playlist. And that felt like a good choice. That felt like it felt purposeful on the album, and I wanted to maintain that, I guess, integrity of that order and that storytelling. But I feel like it made sense. Like, it was in that order for a reason. And I'm Not Angry Anymore is just kind of this nice, like, flip. And I think Stairway to Heaven kind of flips you over from being like sad, being sad something is ending, being frustrated something is ending, feeling sorry for yourself for a minute, which is totally fine, and feeling like, you know, maybe you first feel like a badass. You know, you've got Before Paris, you've got Use Me, you've got Your Dog, Please, Please, Please Let Me Get What I Want, and then you've got the interlude, Moving On, and you're like, oh shit, like, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I need to do something. Maybe I need to change. I can't be bitter, you know? And then All Apologies, Landslide, Stairway to Heaven, Interlude, I'm Not Angry Anymore. And I think this is kind of this transition in this playlist, at least, to show musically the story of that process we all go through when something is frustrating and you kind of blame other people, you blame the situation, you think you're helpless, you think you're a victim, and then and maybe you do make that call. You're like, ooh, I'm gonna like do something dramatic, I'm gonna make a change, I'm gonna do the thing, and I'm gonna feel proud of that. And then you do that, and it's maybe disappointing, maybe it's underwhelming, maybe the thing doesn't happen right away, maybe you feel like you failed, you don't give yourself enough time. And I'd like to say it's not that deep, but like, it's fucking music, dude. Like, it can be as fucking deep as you want it to. And I'm not angry anymore. And so we have the interlude there to kind of give a pause and say like, whoa, okay, let's just rethink about this for a minute and let's see how we really feel. The next song I just think was perfect. I needed this song in here. Born and Raised by John Mayer, from the album Born and Raised. That is also one of my favorite albums of all time, if you see a pattern here. My past playlists, I've had some, like, my top artists kind of trickle in, but, like, of course, because that's what I'm listening to, naturally. But, you know, this playlist in particular is unique, where it has pretty much, like, my top stuff kind of drizzled in there. Born and Raised by John Mayer is kind of iconic in my personal life. It's an album that got me through hard shit. It's an album that helped me stay calm and reflect and analyze myself, and told a story without it feeling prescribed, which is really great when an artist does that, where you can take their story and their music or whatever album and you can lay it over your life and it still makes sense. It's not forced. It's just like this new little lens. The music is the lens that you can kind of reflect on, and it kind of clarifies a lot of things sometimes, and you can say, oh wow, like that quote, that lyric, or that sound made me feel something or made me realize something. Which is really powerful. So this was a really important moment for me, this transition this month. So I wanted to put this album somewhere represented on here. And so I did it with just the title track, because this was like, I don't know, that just felt right. It's kind of a humbling song, which I thought was appropriate as well. And and it's just beautiful. The lyrics are pretty awesome. I definitely recommend looking up this album in terms of just lyrical content because it's pretty amazing. And just that combined with the music itself is kind of a masterpiece, in my opinion. Next song, Woods, Bon Iver. This song is kind of a song I've had in my pocket for a really long time. The first time I heard it was actually not the actual original version, I believe. Yeah, the first time I heard it was an a cappella version in college. And it was live, and it was really powerful, and it's basically an a cappella song if you've never heard it. It's Bon Iver, so you know it's going to be dripping with emotion and lyrics you can't understand. Kind of like has this kind of howling sadness about it, this bittersweet sound. I highly recommend this song, this whole playlist, but this song with a good pair of headphones, try to cancel out noise or something, really get like in the zone, maybe go for a walk or something, because it's just a great like sound. It's kind of unsettling, it's beautiful, and I've never heard anything like it before, so it's stuck with me for over 5 or 6 years now. I want to say was the first time I heard this song, so it's always been in my back pocket. It's a song that feels transformational, even though it's got only a few lyrics in it. It just, it's hard to explain, but it just felt right. And then the next song we've got is another interlude. So Woods gets kind of intense towards the last like third of the song. It like builds and builds. It has a big climax. It's kind of loud and yowling, and it's like a lot. And then it just like right at the last like seconds of the song, it just fades out, or not fades, but it kind of turns that down a little bit. And you're kind of left with this like, whew, okay, now what moment? And so that moment is next going to be Interlude again, Holiday by Paramore. Another great way to kind of like wrap up a thought with this interlude where you're just like, okay, yeah, I did the right thing. Right thing in terms of decisions I've made, commitments I've made, or whatever. Like, okay, here we are. Now I can just kind of figure out the next thing. Which, in this playlist, is What Is Hip by Tower of Power. I love this song. I grew up with this song and this genre of like funk and kind of jazz, and my high school jazz band played this song, and it was like iconic for like 13-year-olds. And my dad loves this song, and he's shown me like remixes of it, which are pretty dope. But I put this on here because it just came up filtering through, like I was just listening to music, and it was towards the end of the month, and I just like was like, whew, this feels right, this feels good, I'm gonna put it on this playlist, see where I can fit it in. And it's a great, like, I don't know, it's 5 minutes, it just kind of jams, it kind of, the time passes with it, it feels good, it's not long, it doesn't feel long. Yeah, it just kind of wrapped up, like, it felt positive, it felt good. I didn't want this to be a sad playlist, I didn't want this to feel hopeless, I didn't want it to feel stuck, and like I wanted there to be an ebb and a flow and like a story, because that's life, it doesn't hopefully just stay the same all the time, and that's not really real, so I wanted to put this at the end, not to get too deep again, but I want to put it at the end to kind of like wrap up this thought, this not even this thought, but this journey. I don't know, that sounds kind of cliche, but whatever. And then Born and Raised, the last song, is a reprise, and that's a reprise on the album where it's in order. Born and Raised is kind of in the middle of the album, and then like the song, and then Born and Raised Reprise is the last song on that album. And I also added that kind of last minute too, because I knew I wanted a song from Born and Raised the album on this playlist, and I couldn't really decide which one, and then I decided to take the pair, Born and Raised and the Reprise, and stick them in appropriately, being like somewhere in the middle and somewhere at the end for the Reprise. So I feel like, and it's like a 2 minute song, so like I felt like it was a nice way to like wrap up. Okay, we had this Tower of Power hit that's just really fun and makes you feel good and makes you feel cool, and then just like you did it, but don't forget like that journey, you know. And it's a positive song. It's upbeat. It's, you know, in a major key. You know, it's all good. But it's chill, and it kind of lets you listen to it and walk away with like, you're not heightened, but you're just like, you know, you're kind of humbled and you feel good, hopefully. That's it. That's the whole mixtape. But I just feel like this was a really nice project I've been working on and wanted to kind of give it another kind of companion. You can kind of see my thought process, but I'd really like to ask that y'all are listening to these songs beforehand, like I said at the beginning, just because I don't want to like sway your impression of a song or music or an artist just because it's like the lens I saw it through, or like in the context I'm, you know, talking about it or listening to it. Hope it doesn't do that. But other than that, I mean, maybe you're someone who likes that. Maybe you're someone who likes having context in a song. You love knowing why something is there, not just in music, but you just like, you're a curious person and you like absorbing other people's contexts. This is for you. So thank you so much for hanging out and listening to that with me. Hopefully it's a playlist that you can enjoy yourself and listen to and share if you feel like it's, you know, the right thing. All my playlists are generally like 45 minutes-ish. They're never over an hour, less than 30 minutes for sure. So I feel like it's like that driving length or that walk or whatever. So hopefully you can listen to the whole thing. And I always ask that my person I send it to listen in order. Every song, give it a chance at least once through. And yeah, just give it a chance, you know. Maybe it'll help you discover something. Maybe you'll realize something about an artist or get curious, whatever. But I'm just rambling now. So again, thank you so much for watching. This was super cool and a cool opportunity for me to talk about my musical choices here. So you can look forward to, I know this was a while ago. August was like almost a month ago, full month ago now, but I really wanted to just kind of get this one out first and just kind of show that process and then show the next one right away. So you'll see September's mixtape at the end of the month or like very beginning of, oh my gosh, October? The beginning of October or so, you'll see another video and another playlist come up, and so keep an eye out for that and subscribe, do all that good stuff. And if you also want to be kind of like in the know, you can follow me on Spotify, because that's where I just release all these playlists. And if you want like a link or anything, it's just going to be down below. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.